So hello everybody, my name is Mark Sage and I'm the Executive Director of the Augmented Reality for Enterprise Alliance, known as the AREA. And a warm welcome to our latest webinar, Friends or Enemies, What is the Relationship between AR and IoT? I'd like at this stage just to ask if you can hold any questions to the end of the webinar. There's a question functionality within the webinar, so please feel free to ask the questions there. Any that we won't be able to answer today, we promise we'll respond to via email in the very near future. So the AREA has delivered a number of webinars which can be found on the Augmented Reality for Enterprise Alliance YouTube channel, as well as creating a great source of enterprise AR information which can be found at www.thearea.org. So I please ask you to go and have a look at that as well. So let's get on with our webinar. I've been lucky to be joined by several industry experts who will offer their insight, experience and knowledge on the subject of AR and IoT, and they will introduce themselves shortly. I'd like to make a quick introduction about the AREA Alliance and the work that we are doing. So the AREA is the only global membership-funded alliance helping to accelerate the adoption of enterprise AR by creating a comprehensive ecosystem. The alliance was formed after a number of innovative companies met and found that they all had started or wanted to invest in enterprise AR. And by working together, they created a better understanding of what tools were available, what could be done, the methods of implementation, and started to understand the return on investment by using AR. This led to opportunities to co-innovate and build new partnerships and business opportunities, all for the goal of the long-term adoption of AR technology. And today, the AREA offers a free and open exchange of good practice, lessons learned, and technology insights. Which can help enterprises effectively implement AR and help AR providers engage with enterprises. So the AREA membership comprises of enterprises, AR providers, and non-commercial organizations, which you can see on this slide. We are focused on helping support the adoption and growth of the enterprise AR ecosystem. And I call this current ecosystem irregular. Enterprise AR is still in its infancy, so there are questions about which areas to invest in, what are the best use cases, and finding enterprise companies is still a long sales process for providers. However, we are moving very rapidly towards a developing ecosystem, and our panel today will highlight some of the use cases they are working on. Enterprises are beginning to understand the performance and efficiency gains from AR, and business decision makers like CEOs, CTOs, and CIOs are getting involved in AR conversations. Finally, I'd like to give a quick overview of the initiatives the AREA is working on to help the enterprise AR ecosystem. We deliver thought leadership content by creating, collating, and collecting the latest neutral content from thought leaders and experts. The AREA offers networking opportunities, both virtual and face-to-face. It's a great way to engage with the members in the wider ecosystem to build partnerships, opportunities, and discuss what needs to be done to drive forward the ecosystem. There are a number of important committees, including marketing, research, and requirements. And the AREA has created a research capability where members can create research proposals, which the members vote on. We are currently delivering a research project covering security and wearables. This research will benefit many players, especially enterprises, considering using wearable devices. In March, the AREA and UI Labs hosted the first Enterprise AR Functional Requirements meeting. Based on work by Lockheed Martin, Procter & Gamble and Caterpillar, the area now owns a set of requirements that will be shared with the ecosystem and help enterprises create RFPs and requirement specifications and AR providers to define their roadmaps. Finally, we understand that there is an industry skills gap, so we're looking to help define AR courses with universities and deliver an AR jobs board. Okay, so I hope you've learned a little bit about the area, and if you're interested in finding out more and how it may benefit your organization, please feel free to contact me on mark@thearea.org. Okay, I'd now like to introduce you to today's panelists. So I'll ask each one of them to first say hello and provide a little bit of insight about yourself and your company, and they'll go into a bit more detail about themselves. So Carl.
Yes, good morning. My name is Carl Byers. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Context AR. We are an enterprise software company developing an intelligent agent for field-based workers that delivers curated guidance on their mobile devices and integrates IoT data together with AR information delivery to augment the human in the field. I can provide more information on that in a few slides coming forward.
Absolutely. Mark, a quick introduction, please.
Sure. My name is Mark Schütz. I'm Director of ThingWorx Product Management. So I'm leading our ThingWorx Studio Product Management team at PTC.
Thank you, Mark. And Pontus?
Yes, I'm Pontus Blomberg, founder and VP Business Development of 3D Studio Bloomberg, and we focus on delivering 3D visualization solutions, and we create business value through visualization.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pontus. And Beppe?
Hello, everybody. I'm Giuseppe Scavo, but everybody calls me Beppe, and I'm a technical researcher for the area, as well as an AR developer and PhD student.
Okay, great. Thank you, panelists. And what we'll do now, if it's okay, is each one of them will go a little bit more into their company and what they're doing in the AR and IoT space. So Carl, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. As I mentioned, Context AR is building an intelligent agent for field-based workers that delivers curated guidance on their mobile devices. We connect to enterprise data of various types, live streaming data, as well as enterprise information from asset management systems and procedures management systems and other things like that, to truly deliver last mile tactical guidance out to field workers that are maintaining, operating, and inspecting complex equipment. The whole goal is to make them more productive and more safe in their jobs in the field. Our view of IoT and AR is really captured on the next slide, and Mark, if you could advance to the second slide in the series. Our view of IoT and AR is really if we look at this 2x2 matrix, is focused on operations that are on the edge, for humans on the edge and machines on the edge, and operations on the center, where there's data analytics and analysis on the center. A lot of work with IoT is currently focused on making machines smarter, or alternatively pulling data back to the center of an organization to make their operational planning decisions smarter. Very little is actually focused on the human out at the field, out where warm hands touch cold steel, fixing, maintaining, and operating complex systems. And we believe that IoT broadly can be connected to that human in the field using various forms of augmentation on everything from wrist-worn devices to head-worn devices to provide additional information to make them more productive. And that's where we're focused. So if you look at the last slide in that series, if you can advance to the next one, Mark. We really focus on building an environment that delivers the mission critical information to the field in real time on a variety of devices to augment the human in the most effective way possible with the information they need at that moment in time to do their jobs more effectively. So combining live streaming data, enterprise asset information, and other information from enterprise asset databases of various types, as well as predictive analytics solutions. Pile that information together and really figure out what's the most critical information that a user needs in the field at this specific moment in time. and then we use machine learning and intelligent curation to deliver just the information that the individual needs at that moment in time to augment their information, augment their workspace, and improve the productivity. More information.
That's great.
Can be found on ContextAir at contextair.com. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you very much for that insight. I'd like to hand over to Mark from PTC now, who'll give an overview of what PTC is doing and their work in IoT and AR space.
Sure, perfect. Thank you. So PTC is a global software company. We are around for roughly 30 years, have 30,000 customers, 11,100 in the IoT space, with probably more than 250,000 developers on our award-winning Vuforia and ThingWorx platforms. So PTC is coming from the digital world with engineering tools like ProEngineer, today called Creo, and Windchill. We started a few years ago to extend this with multiple acquisitions into the IoT area or into the physical world. And we built a comprehensive and leading IoT platform called ThingWorx. Contains connectivity tools, machine learning, and also augmented reality. And how this works together, I'll show you on the next slide, how we think about it. If you could go one slide forward, Mark. Yeah, we see more and more connected devices. So if you look at the picture on the left side, and there's a lot of discussions how many connected devices and data we will collect over the next, let's say, 5 years. But it's a lot. And so the IoT helps us to connect and utilize digital information from physical things. And machine learning helps us to filter it down, and we see augmented reality to put it in context of the physical product, but also make it consumable and to the human being. So IoT is all about the machines and the physical things, collecting data, and AR is all about making use of and sense of the data in context of the physical product. So it helps people to better perform and make decisions. That's how we see the connection between IoT and AR.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. If I can pass on to Pontus to give an overview of his company and the work that he's doing in this space, that would be great.
Can you flip slides? Okay, now I see. Yes, so 3D Studio has industrial experience since 2001, delivering 3D visual solutions based on value related to 3D. We participated in a national research program 2013 to 2016, and here we got our thoughts and ideas confirmed when connecting with leading industrial players and research. We confirmed the need of utilizing and synchronizing product information and product lifecycle 3D data in operation and maintenance, in services, but also more efficiently in marketing and sales. We also realized the need of efficiently documenting work tasks to gather what we call tacit knowledge. This could also be called best practices or experience that is not documented anywhere. So today's focus is on what we call dynamic visualization, making AR and visualization available in an industrial scale. This is done in close cooperation with the customers, and we develop industrial processes and raise the awareness on an organizational level. We are working with leading industrial players, forerunners, mostly in Finland, but also internationally. We are creating real business value from their own created visualization. So the next slide here we see the current focus is on delivering high-value visual automation for the enterprise. And depending on level of automation needed and what level of automation that ultimately will create value, we can craft a visual solution that will match the enterprise's need, with focus on system integration and development of 3D visualization, AR, VR, web, but also for use in marketing and sales. As you can see, IoT is missing in this picture, but focus is currently on PLM data utilization. What you would could say is sort of delivered through an IoT connection. We have established partnerships with leading technology infrastructure providers. We have a constant focus on growing our partner network. Two examples are Elisa, the mobile networks provider in Finland, focusing on now also on IoT. And we are also representing ODG, and we are part of the Vuforia development program. So we are going hands-free with the ODG glasses, and we help to bridge the gap between technologies and business problems. And we work according to 3 business models. We sell hardware, such as ODG glasses. We create custom software and content productions, and we move into the process development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pontus. And we're going to pass on now finally to Pepe. He's going to talk a little bit about his work in the AR and IoT space. And Pepe,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. I'm Giuseppe Scavo, and I'm a technical researcher for the area. I perform analysis on all the technologies involved with AR and IoT in industrial scenarios. Also on the side, I'm also an AR developer and a PhD candidate at Open University, where my main research focus is on interfaces and interaction in the conjunction between AR and IoT. Specifically, what the themes that I investigate are the cognitive overload and the visualization problem related to the combination of these 2 technologies. To give an example in the next slide, if you can show that, there's a project we've made in partnership with the European Space Agency, where we tried to introduce AR and IoT in conjunction to boost the performance and the precision of operators that do quality checking on the same satellites that go up in space sent by the European Space Agency. And the results were really promising. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pepe. So we're now going to get into the main part of the webinar, where we're going to have some open discussions between the panelists or the experts. So I'm going to keep the questions pretty high level, but give them an opportunity to discuss their kind of thinking. So the first question we'd like to ask is, can you explain a little bit about the relationship between AR and IoT? And perhaps, Pontus, I could ask you to start that conversation with your thoughts.
Well, we think that IoT more or less enables AR, but it's not strictly a technology matter. It's about people, it's about core competence, it's about transforming these into business assets. And 3D Studio is a company providing specialized services in making this a reality.
Okay, thank you, Pontus. Mark, how about your thoughts on the relationship between IoT and AR?
Sure. Yeah, IoT and AR, I see this as a better together scenario with immense potential when the 2 are combined. There are even people who say this is a match made in enterprise tech heaven. I couldn't agree more. So if I look at it, I see IoT is all about collecting and getting value out of data. And it's getting more and more data, and nobody can read it in a text or in a graph form anymore. So AR is about people engaging with this information and making it consumable. So yeah, we collect the data in IoT and we make sense out of it, and we put it in context in AR. And yeah, I also see AR as the new user interface for consumption of IoT data in context and in real time. So just imagine a technician who gets a completely different personalized user interface for a machine, something the operator doesn't need, something which doesn't need to be at the machine all the time. So you'll be able, or we are able, to add personalized and role-based controls without overloading the physical product, without compromising the design, without increasing the cost. So it's just it's data-driven, but personalized, contextualized. Yeah, that's how I see IoT and AR coming together in a very, very nice way.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And Carl, your thoughts?
Yeah, so my thoughts are quite well aligned, strangely enough, with those of Mark and Pontus, of course, and that IoT is really about and has been about data and connectivity, helping machines talk to each other, M2M communications, as well as having machines connected through edge-based networking and other fog-based computing methodologies back to the center of organizations so that organizations can make better decisions about the optimization and the usage of their machines, both from a point of view of performance optimization as well as equipment maintenance. As a result, a lot of that data is not made available to people that are actually out touching machines and fixing them and maintaining them, doing their daily jobs, because a lot of that data is used for other purposes, for operational analysis and predictive maintenance applications. Kind of the focus is on the use of IoT data and connectivity historically has been about so what? So what, based on our current performance paradigms, what do we need to know and how do we need to adjust equipment operating conditions? None of that actually touches a human. That's about optimizing and self-optimizing and making operational decisions about how you deploy your equipment assets. Where AR comes into this mix, it actually allows a human to see, to visualize, to connect to the information that's actually available in a much more robust real-time way. And I think that's where you really focus on making AR the tool and the methodology of making that information relevant to humans wherever they might happen to be. So I agree. I think the statement of AR being kind of the human interface to IoT is a good kind of paradigm to think through. But I do want to throw out that AR is not just about what we often think of it, which is visualization. There's if you look at the techniques to augment the human with additional information of their surroundings where there might happen to be. Visual interfaces and visual views into data are one of many methods to communicate information to people. Sometimes it can be simple as a text message, sometimes it can be a haptic vibration or a warning signal of some sort. So using the full abilities to augment the human with the information that's available from streaming data, from other types of enterprise systems, to make them more aware, to increase their situational awareness and the understanding of their local context. We can use all of the elements of human sensing in an augmented reality environment to be able to drive their performance and improve them. So it's really about making kind of machines and corporate systems smarter, and corporate systems really writ large, where you have integrated operation systems that include humans that are making better decisions as they go forward, regardless of where they are. And that, I think, where is really the power of the connectivity between, those two domains, which is IoT and AR. They work well together, they complement each other, and one leverages the other to make systems more effective and humans more effective.
Okay, thank you very much, Carl. That was really insightful. I guess I just want to make a quick comment here that, the webinar is you've been titled Friends and Enemies, about AR and IoT, but of course they can still live and survive standalone. There's still plenty of use cases and opportunities for AR as well as IoT as separate kind of technologies. But I guess what we're saying is that when they come together, there's some real strength and some real benefit by developing together, or at least working together with these two sets of technologies. Okay, that's great, guys.
If I could just interject really quickly there, I think that's a really good point, Mark. I think a lot of the time the argument is about, and even the dialogue in the press is about, this is about automation, and the fear is it's a Skynet world coming up. But I think when we look at it, the role of AR, it's really one of the things we advocate is humans are extremely powerful, and it's about Iron Man versus Skynet, and I think Iron Man wins in this scenario because we augment humans with a lot more information to make them more effective wherever they might happen to be.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you, Carl, for that a bit. So we talked, about that kind of relationship, but let's go on to the next set of questions, which it's a little bit more now about some case studies. Let's have real life examples and show some of the benefits that AR and IoT can have together. So Again, let me go back to Pontus, if we can ask you about some of your case study examples about IoT and AR.
Yes, the current focus up until now has more or less been towards marketing and sales, creating unique experiences for unique purposes. But as we move along, the sort of the challenge of scaling up the industrial use is evidently there, and the current focus has to be on scalability and the reuse of enterprise data and the CAD assets, 3D assets. So that's why we have our focus there currently, and we need to work close with our customers, because we touch upon the core of their business, and that's a sensitive area, and we are proud of the customers that we have, and that fully rely on what we do and believe in the technology. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pontus. Mark, the kind of same question to you. Can you give some kind of real life examples of IoT and AR working together?
Sure. So we currently have over 2,000 companies in our ThingWorx Studio free trial program, and they create all kinds of AR experiences. So many companies now taking the pilot project into production, and the use cases are all over the place. They include service and maintenance, training, as well as design reviews. We see a big push into the service and maintenance area, and yeah, it is really interesting. So we see companies like VW, Toyota, NASA, Whirlpool, Schneider, Salesforce, Microsoft, Komatsu come up with totally different use cases, what they want to do. And they really vary. And so some of them monitor their server centers. They highlight the right or actually the wrong or damaged blade in a rack. I mean, the IoT platform tells you, hey, there's something off. But if you look at a server rack, all of those blades look the same. So which one is the right one to replace? It's the same thing for others in the factories. There are switches or circuit breakers. There are 50 of those next to each other. We know one is broken due to the connectivity, but which one is it if you stand in front of it? Those are very simple cases in a server center or in a factory, but they really speed up uptime. Yeah, others look and discuss the latest iterations of designs and multiple people and make this part of their review process. We also see that it helps moving, let's say, some service instructions from a field service technician to the operator. So customers try to take simple tasks or maintenance procedures, and they, instead of sending a service technician out, the operator or the end customer can do it himself. And we can actually use the IoT platform or the connectivity to check if he performed the procedure correctly. So he can take his phone or his iPad, point it towards the machine, do like a couple of steps he never did before. We show him in augmented reality how to do it, and then we can test with the IoT platform if the issue is resolved. And yeah, so we see a lot of those use cases. It's all about uptime and performance, but we also see and we all know we have an aging workforce, and people retire, and so knowledge and experience gets lost. So AR can really help to capture and transfer these informations from people who used to do this for years and years and years, and to people who just started. And it also makes companies more attractive for new talent. This is really feedback we get out of our pilot program. So there's a lot going on. I can tell you that there's a lot going on. And 2,000 companies have probably 5,000 different use cases, and they're all fantastic.
Great, thank you, Mark. And Carl, your kind of thoughts and your experiences.
Yeah, so Context Air is focused on two primary high-level markets: smart industries and smart infrastructures. And in smart industries, we're focused on aerospace and defense, energy, and oil and gas as our primary target markets, as well as in smart infrastructure, we're focused on blue-collar workforces in smart cities, as well as smart power and utilities environments. In each of those cases, we're really focusing on 3 primary use cases, which you could probably break down into sub-use cases, but we still tend to have them at the high level, and that's maintenance, operations, and inspection, and to some extent safety is part of each of those. When we speak to our prospects and our early stage customers in each of those areas, they're really looking at some of the solutions around how do I deliver the right information in the right way. Not every location can have a head-worn device. Not every location can have a tablet. Sometimes people have to be hands-free and are wearing gloves. What is this right environment, and how do you deliver the information to them? And again, going back to what the reductionist model of what is the minimum piece of information that this person needs in this role at this particular point in time, and how do you augment their world to be able to understand that piece of information that's most important to them and most critical to ensure their systems work and that they're safe. We're at the early stage of this journey and are in the midst of launching pilot projects that actually demonstrate this capability. And I'll put a little bit of a plug out that we'll be announcing a major defense pilot project within the next 2 weeks, and I look forward to being able to share that information with others at that point in time. And so I'd say stay tuned and have a look at our website to be up to speed on the latest news coming out of Context Air. That'll be a major defense pilot project that's focused on maintenance and logistics of airborne platforms and the distribution of information out to maintainers and operators across the globe. So it's a very exciting opportunity for us, looking at ways to, again, augment the humans who are out maintaining and operating that equipment with the information that they need at that moment in time to make sure that those aircraft fly.
Fantastic. Thank you, Carl. That was some great insights, and good luck with the announcement as well. I guess to summarize what I'm hearing is, there's plenty of different use cases out there. It feels that most of them are based around kind of performance improvements and efficiency improvements, allowing organizations to do more with less resources. I think the training part was and the aging workforce is another really interesting kind of aspect as well. So I think it's difficult to pinpoint exact use cases being most successful, but I think just the breadth and the depth of the different proof of concepts that's going on, and what I've seen when working with you guys, shows that there's a huge amount of opportunity in the market, and it's going to be really exciting as we kind of mature in technology and understanding and business benefit matures as well. So that's great, and thank you for all your insights there, guys. So that all sounds really great, but of course, with any new technology or any new kind of area, there are some challenges and problems. So I think it's worth investigating that a little more. So maybe we can, perhaps, if it's okay with you, Pepe, we'll start with your kind of thoughts on some of the challenges and problems within this space.
Hi, Mark. Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm going to bring a bit of a human-computer interaction perspective in this discussion. There are AR and IoT we have heard so far all the fantastic case studies that the other panelists have in their companies, and so there has plenty of demonstration that it works and brings benefit. However, there are some pitfalls that in the design of AR experiences in conjunction with data streams that in the future might hinder a bit the success of the combination of these two technologies. So to start, importantly, we cannot think of bringing the same visual paradigm from the traditional displays we have to AR when we represent this data, because we cannot represent only values and trends only with numbers and graphs, because it would be a waste of the technology. For example, we need to take advantage of the spatiality of AR, use that third dimension and create innovative user interfaces. An example of this, for example, would be what are the thermal maps, so visualizing the temperature of an object on top of the object itself. But there are other examples. For example, if you think of this fantastic opportunity of using the data coming from the digital twin, the digital representation of any industrial object, with all this design data, the test data, and the IoT data coming from that object. If we combine the digital twin with a real object, we can create fantastic visualization, intuitive visualization that can give more insights than only number and graphs to the operator. And this needs to be taken into account. However, another problem that stops this from happening is the fact that providers need to create bespoke visualization, bespoke experiences for each customer, for each product, for each data stream. And this slows terribly down the production of this visualization, the production of these interfaces. So the production of these interfaces needs to be automated, needs to be integrated into the life cycle of the project, the production life cycle, and then the whole production of the interface, the creation of these experiences when it's going to be automated inside the production of the documentation. This can only happen if AR is integrated into the information lifecycle, and we reach the stage with the stage of IoT adoption of AR and IoT with a new visual language, with like a complementary visual language that integrates the traditional numbers and graphs. And one important problem that is very dear to me is that we need to be mindful of the cognitive overload of workers, because it's very easy with AR to be literally surrounded by new visualization, by visualization, data streams popping all over the place, and this can be really counterproductive when an operator needs to diagnose a fault or do any kind of operation, because it can only overload its cognition and then lead to confusion and slow down the process of recovery. So we need to invent new ways of interacting with data that is not only, because we need to think about the medium we're using. We are not confined anymore in a screen, in a display. We are occupying the whole space around the worker. So we need to be able to go beyond the traditional scrolling and swiping, but have a new ways to browse a large amount of data coming from these complex machines. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, that's really insightful. Thank you, Beppe. Perhaps we can ask the same question about some of the challenges to Pontus. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, of course, this is still really new to most of us, and that of course makes it challenging for the customer or the user to understand how does this fit our business, how does this create value for us, how do we handle it organizationally, and so on, and this impacts the entire core business of the organization, and it's sort of a renewal process, and it requires the correct mindset by the organization and the people that handles this. So this is something that of course for us leads to lead times and so on, but that's why we are here. We are here to help the people understand the technology through pilot projects and proof of value, and then eventually roll out to production use. And then there are also numerous existing IoT platforms. Some are homemade or made by the clients themselves. Some are developed by professional developers, but they don't contain any AR at the moment. So there's the issue of or challenge of integrating these into AR. That's basically my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. And Mark, some insight from your experience and PTC?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, Pontus already mentioned it, we are now operating in 3 dimensions if we were glasses, and this needs a complete new interaction paradigm. And we already see a lot of user interfaces on a tablet which are not well thought through, and this is just 2D. So in 3D, it's going to be much more interesting having another dimension. So a lot of people need to get hands-on and see what it actually means. You see a lot of traditional planning for projects on glasses instead of rapid application development and high frequency of iterations. So this is something we see that you need to build it, to test it, to try it, to fail and redo it and iterate on it, because there's a lot of experience to gain here. So this is a challenge I see. Another one is overloading people with information. You have 3 dimensions. That doesn't mean you need to put more data in. It really means you need to have the right data at the right location. So we need to be spatial aware, not overloaded, show what is important to the person at this time and location. This will be part of all the UX UI design cycles, and we'll find this out when we work more on this. I also see big challenges in reuse of data. So companies have tons of 3D data around, and the devices, they get better and better, but yeah, there's still data needs to be highly compressed to be usable at those devices available today. We can, yeah. If you look at the 3D data our customers have, they're usually made for manufacturing, and in AR they only need to be good enough to trick your eye. So they need to be highly compressed. This is one thing. So we need to reuse it instead of recreate it. It's also difficult in a lot of platforms to integrate IoT data streams and values and use machine learning to just show what is necessary at that time. Yeah, this is something I see. So we really move towards a rapid application development platform where people can reuse data and iterate fast. Next thing is this needs to be automated. A lot of people build one-off applications, which is a challenge to scale. So it needs to be part of the enterprise tools, as well as the entire pipeline of how the data flows through companies. So it needs to be completely automated and part of the enterprise content pipeline. And yeah, last challenge I see is a lot of companies deploy software in a very traditional way. They are not giving their workforce access to app stores, to yeah, the store at Microsoft, for example. And if you look where companies like Microsoft are going, deploying apps, even the Edge browser and stuff like this, only through the App Store in the future. So we really need to rethink how we deploy software in enterprise companies. And getting a DVD or download it somewhere and have everything completely under control in-house might stop you from adopting new technologies like augmented reality.
Okay,
that's all I have.
Thank you, Mark. That was great. Okay, thank you very much. That's great. And Carl, let's finish up the challenges and problems section with your thoughts, please.
Absolutely. I'll add a couple of thoughts that I hope don't overlap too much with the others that have been mentioned, because those are all great points, and I couldn't disagree with the importance of them. I think I break it down to probably 3 challenge areas. The first is an understanding of what you really need, what information is really required by the user. And to Bepe's point, and also mentioned by Mark, I think the understanding of cognitive overload is particularly important. Now, there's been a pile of work that's been done on that. I've spent 30 years in the defense and working with the defense community, and there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from pilot queuing systems and other things for fighter pilots, as well as warfighters that are getting just-in-time information when they're in the field. I think we don't have to reinvent those wheels. They've similar techniques and similar issues with massive amounts of mission critical data delivered in real time, both visually and using other queuing systems to be able to help people understand what they really need to know at that point in time. So part of that is the user interface side. Part of it is the deeper understanding of what is actually important at this moment in time. And if you can filter and curate the information that to really know what is important, that actually removes a lot of the issues around the HCI cognitive overload pieces, because you're not defaulting to just delivering a bunch of information onto somebody's screen. You're being more thoughtful about it. And again, if the goal is to make that person more productive, remove the 70% unproductive time that a typical field worker has, or the 25% error rates, really understanding what's important to them becomes particularly critical. So that's the first area I'd see. The second is a process issue. I think we're in a state with a lot of pilot projects, a lot of lessons learned being developed, but not necessarily shared. So every time that a new organization says, hey, I think I'd like to do some AR, they start from almost the same level and build up the same issues and come and try to solve the same problems or come up against the same roadblocks. We need better ways to communicate those lessons learned, and that's part of the role of the area more broadly as an advocacy organization, is to accelerate that process, but we need to get better at that so we're not making the same mistakes, and that new people using AR are not making the same mistakes. Underlying that are better approaches to interconnectivity and reuse. So data exchange, content reuse across departments and for different applications are the things that allow us to leverage an application and a pilot from one place into another. And we've only begun that journey, and it's some industry players are active in that and trying to promote greater interchange. And I think that's an important objective that we all need to face. I think the third thing is some of the realities of physics. The hardware and software work quite well in fairly constrained environments, but as soon as you get out and you're in the snowy fields or you're in the dusty environments of Afghanistan, we have big issues of making AR work reliably for every field worker that might be anywhere that they might happen to be, without having to worry about, is my system going to work? So we've still got some real hardware and software problems that we need to solve underlying all of this. And again, that work continues to evolve, and I think we have to be careful to reflect and reflect the true capabilities and what the true state of the art is when we're promoting and publishing the broader effectiveness of AR. It provides tremendous value and tremendous opportunity, but we can't oversell where we are as an industry right now, especially as we try to connect to IoT systems that are delivering terabytes of data into the world, that people are going to say, how I've heard AR can make use of all of this stuff. Why can't I just turn that on tomorrow?
Thank you, Carl. That's really interesting again. We're just about to move on to our last question, where we're going to get the crystal ball out and look at the considerations for the future. I would at this stage ask if you have any questions for the panel, the experts. If you can use the question bar within the webinar, and we'll have a go at answering as many as we possibly can. As I said at the start, we'll promise to answer them via email. So please feel free to start to ask some questions there. But as for the last question, again, with our crystal ball, perhaps I'd like to start with Beppe about some of the considerations for the future of IoT and AR. What's your thoughts?
I have a very quick consideration. I'm speaking to all the people that are considering investing in either IoT or AR, and in my opinion, it's, for example, we've seen a lot of use case studies, more importantly, of IoT already implemented and delivering a lot of benefits to the company adopting it. However, it's not taking advantage of that data, that so much useful data on the shop floor, where actually the operator needs it to inspect a particular piece of equipment and is also working properly, or producing or performing the predictive maintenance, is not taking advantage there and where the operator needs in front of that machine is basically wasting half of that investment in IoT. So what I would say to the people investing in this technology is try as much as possible to combine it, even facing those challenging we just talked about that can be solved very easily. But there's a lot of potential in the combination of these two technologies. So mine is a recommendation more than a consideration.
Okay, thank you, Pepe. And Carl, it'd be great to get your insight and thought on the future of the IoT.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really see that augmented reality and augmenting the human with as much information as possible to do their job better, to be more productive and be more safe, is really a natural evolution in the way that information is produced and consumed, particularly for environments we happen to be focused on, which is field-based maintenance and operations, but there's also opportunities on the factory floor and in other kinds of retail and consumer environments. When we look at smart cities applications, some of that is around how a blue-collar worker is more effective in doing their job, but some of that is how does the citizen in a city interact with their city to be more connected to it and have a higher quality of life. So there's a variety of applications. I think augmented reality writ large is truly the evolution of how that how information would be produced and consumed. I think the one caution is that IoT is often equated with automation. And if you look at Industry 4.0 or the Industrial Internet of Things and all of these other things, most of the dialogue is about automation and equipment efficiencies. And often in those conversations, issues of human performance is left out unless it happens to be a dashboard somewhere in the center of an organization's operations where they're doing financial planning. So I think rearranging and reorienting that conversation so that people, as Pepe said, who are looking at the broader aspects of IoT investment are actually looking at who else can consume this information, who else is relevant in this process, who else can benefit in their daily lives from having access to IoT information coming off of machines or being processed within an organization in their predictive analytics systems. And that drives a whole new way and a whole new conversation about who can benefit from getting information and how do you augment their work environment so that they have that. So we really do see the opportunity is making the human, wherever they might happen to be in the field or on the factory floor, more skilled and more knowledgeable in their environment. In many ways, augmented reality really is driving the future of work in the 21st century and driving the development of the 21st century workforce.
Fantastic, thank you, Carl. That's really insightful. So thank you, my panel of experts, for some really great insights. I'm going to kind of summarize a little bit and try and pick out some of the key themes that it's gone through. But I think it's been really insightful. What I've heard so far is we are still in the infancy at the start of this AR and IoT opportunity, but we're already beginning to see some use cases. Lots of different use cases in lots of different organizations and lots of different industries. But at this stage tend to be more kind of proof of concept trial kind of status. We are beginning to see performance and efficiency gains across, as I said, lots of different industries and lots of different reasons for doing it. We talked a bit about the aging workforce. We talked about doing things faster and quicker and right first time. I think there were some really insightful things in terms of the challenges for the future. I've kind of jotted down things like being able to iterate solutions quickly, a lot about making sure we get the correct experience and spatial awareness and contextual kind of information at the right times. Making sure that the data's in the right kind of format and compressed and ready to be used, and to be able to automate the development process with kind of enterprise tools and stuff like that. There's also some interesting points about the environments we need to consider and being able to reuse content and the interconnectivity kind of side as well. So plenty of good points there for the future. Can we kind of use this data better? And really, and I think on Carl's point was, and I quite like this, is making kind of humans more skilled for the 21st century workforce, not so much to do with losing jobs. It's more to do with making them more effective and stuff like that. Okay, so that's my kind of quick high-level summary. We have a few questions in here that I will try and read out. Let me just see if I can use this tool. Okay, we've got one from Ben here. I'm going to just open this up and see if we'd like to answer it. So how does the end customer experience change through the use of AR? Maybe scope down to manufacturing, if at all. For example, if the manufacturer of a widget starts to use AR in the factory, what benefits or maybe more interestingly drawbacks should I expect to see? Anybody like to take a little punt at that? I can say it again if.
Yes, please say it again.
So how does the end customer experience change through the use of AR? For example, if the manufacturer of my widget starts to use AR in a factory, what benefits or maybe more interestingly drawbacks should I expect to see?
Yeah, well, that depends, of course, what kind of information you plan to feed the end user, but eventually the end user will, if consumed right, if the information is consumed right, the end user will have correct information in the correct time and place, and it will be visual information, so it's easily understood. I think that's a short answer from my side.
Okay, anybody else like to tackle that, or shall I move on to another question?
Yeah, I see.
I think I'll,
Mark here.
Go ahead, Mark.
I see a lot of status information. Where are we in the process of, let's say, manufacturing a certain piece? How is the backlog of certain components? Where are we with this? How are the machines performing? What is the machine who might need some service? I don't see that someone who's doing the same step again and again and again needs instructions in augmented reality. It's they know what they do, so we don't need to use augmented reality to show them how to do their job. But I see a lot of supporting information, like the machine performance or the material backlog or something like this. If something needs their attention because something is going wrong, it might be very easy to highlight this with a sound or overlaid in the field of view that it needs attention, but I don't see step-by-step instructions for the guy in the manufacturing line.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you for that. I'm just trying to go through some of these other questions, which may be a bit difficult to answer in the time we have available. Yeah, I think we're going to struggle to answer these within a minute.
Maybe while you're looking at that, Mark, I'll just jump in on this previous question as well, because it's something that adds to the two previous kind of commenters on that issue. Is that, you know, as more people start to use AR across the value chain, then you've got value in integrated value in shortening design cycles and deepening understanding and decreasing rework. So if I've got an upstream widget manufacturer that's starting to use AR, and I can be encouraged in my organization to start to understand how that widget fits into my car, automotive, or locomotive or aircraft in a more effective way, also using AR, then we've got an ability to drive design collaboration at a level that we haven't seen in the past. And I think that's a really important thing. So there's design collaboration issues that can be impacted aggressively with more people using AR in multiple locations viewing 3D space, as well as the downstream impact of how that how performance information, things like that, can impact maintenance and field service, as mentioned previously.
Great, thank you, Carl. Well, everybody, it's the top of the hour, so I'd like to bring the webinar to a close. Thank you very much for your attendance. As I said, we will respond to all the questions. Thank you for all of them. We'll get back to you ASAP, and the recording will be made available on the area website and YouTube channel, as I said before, and we'll be coming back to you with another webinar in the near future. So just like to thank you all again and wish you all a successful future within AR and IoT and the other fields that you're working in. Okay, everybody, goodbye.